You know that we have to get to the bottom of this. You know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you take a polygraph?
Sure.
Okay. Would you take it tonight?
In fact, that's what you want me to do. I've never done one. I don't know like what it involves, but
Okay. You know where it is?
from what I've seen, it goes on your finger.
You know what the purpose of one is?
It's for a lie detector test.
Okay.
The 15th of August 2018 perhaps is the most significant day in the investigation of the Watts family murders. The day before, on the 14th, Chris had agreed to take a polygraph. It was decided, however, given the lateness of that day, that Chris would return on the morning of the 15th at 11 a.m. to undertake the polygraph. But the polygraph and his subsequent confession of killing Shanann, but not his daughters, was only one aspect of that day. In this video, we're going to investigate the entire day and what happened in chronological order as things unfolded. I'm Michelle and welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, let's get into it. A polygraph, or as Chris called it, a lie detector test, is a device, a procedure that measures several physiological indicators such as respiration, pulse, skin conductivity, whilst a person is asked a series of questions. The belief underpinning the use of the polygraph is that deceptive answers will produce physiological responses that are different and can be differentiated from those associated with truthful answers. Well, there's no specific physiological reaction associated with lying and lying alone, which makes it difficult to identify factors that separates lying from those that aren't lying but are having some form of physiological response other than kind of, I suppose, baseline. In some countries, including the US, polygraphs are used as an interrogation tool. It's more about how the subject responds to the entire experience as much as it is the recorded answers. And they are highly inaccurate, which is why they're not admissible in court. Now, Chris was providing his service as a subject of the polygraph completely voluntarily. Agent Tammy Lee, who was the person conducting the polygraph, was very, very clear with him that he could leave at any time. He chose to take it. Whether he thought he could beat it, I don't know. But he was there a long time, and that's part of the procedure. It's gleaning information. What Tammy Lee was doing wasn't just collecting potential questions and discussing those with him. She was assessing him all the way through, and she was psyching him out. So just before the polygraph, to paraphrase Tammy Lee, she said something like, "Right now, only one of us knows the truth. In 5 minutes' time, two of us will, or both of us will." The whole procedure was finished by about 3:05. Unbeknownst to Chris, in the hours that he was there taking that polygraph, investigators were at Cervi Ranch, and approximately 15-27 hours, a drone was flown over the site of Cervi 319. While Tammy Lee was out of the room, Chris watched videos of his little girls playing happily in North Carolina as the drone flew over the gravesite of wife Shanann and over the oil tanks in which the bodies of his daughters lay. The drone found disturbed earth and a white sheet. Permission was sought from the ranch owner to search the entire property. But that wasn't the only thing that was going on. Something else was occurring at around 5:30.
Interviewing Nicole Kessinger with Mark Blair.
Whatever you feel comfortable talking about.
I met Chris at work. He's not like one of my direct coworkers. He just like works kind of in passing in the same office building as me. I met him, I don't know, sometime probably around the beginning of June.
On this day, Mistress Nicole Kessinger had come forward to report that she was in a relationship with Chris. She thought she would do everything she could to help the investigation of the disappearance of Shanann and the girls. Unbeknownst to her, the police were already aware of her existence. On the 14th, surveillance had been out, suspecting that Chris would travel to her place. At the very time that Nicole was being interviewed, Chris was in the interrogation room. He'd just confessed to Father Ronnie that he killed Shanann because she killed the girls.
What is that?
It's the BRC Cervi 319.
Okay. Whereabouts is Shanann and the girls?
How old is this picture?
Today.
That's today. Shanann right there.
Okay, can you mark it for me? I think it's the paper, it's just gonna be the S for Shanann. Okay, and where are the girls at?
Here, here.
In these?
Mm-hmm.
So which one is, do you know which one?
Are they in the tanks? Can somebody who doesn't know what they're doing open those? Okay, it's easy to open
What's
them.
in the tanks?
It's a mixture of oil and water.
There was a sheet found down here?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that from?
That was what Shanann was wrapped in.
What about the girlies? What were they wrapped in? Just in the pajamas? Not with their blankets or anything? Where did their blankets and toys and stuff go?
Probably flew away in the wind or something right here.
Where did you set them or put them?
It was right here with that.
So, how did you dig this out? I'm assuming that's under dirt. How did you dig that?
It's got a shovel in the back of my truck. It's the always have.
It's like a work shovel? Is it still there? Can you do me a huge favor and just write your name on the bottom? Just so I know that we didn't make those marks. I'm just gonna write the date on it, okay? 8/15/18 at 5:56.
Was your wife wearing any shorts or pants or anything, just under? Okay. Do you remember what they look like?
Blue.
Blue. Okay. Okay. And the girls, do you remember what their pajamas were?
At 17:56, Agent Tammy Lee left the room with the signed copy of exactly where Shanann and the girls could be located at Cervi 319. What happens next is detailed in the discovery. It was determined that a search warrant would be sought for the property. When advised that additional personnel would be responding to the scene, Apple decided to shut down the well site and vent the holding tanks for safety. CSA Yoakum and CSA Caitlin Schroeder responded to process the scene. While waiting for the search warrant to be obtained, I was advised by CBI agent in charge, Kirby Lewis, that Chris Watts had confessed to dumping the bodies of his wife Shanann Watts and his children Bella Watts and Celeste Watts at the well site. The coroner was then requested to respond. Lewis also advised that Chris stated he'd left some of the girls' clothing and toys wrapped in a sheet we had located. Commander Borders and Detective Dewitt again deployed the drone to search the well site for these items before the sunset and it became dark. A thorough search of the area was conducted, but no items were located. I later received information from Lewis that Chris Watts had marked a copy of the photograph of the area previously taken by the drone with locations of the bodies. Chris indicated that Shanann was buried in the area of disturbed dirt we had previously located, and that Bella and Celeste were each in separate oil tanks. I was provided with a copy of the photograph marked by Chris and observed an S indicating Shanann in the area of disturbed dirt, B indicating Bella on the west, and a C indicating Celeste on the east oil holding tank. After the search warrant was secured, Yoakum and CSA Schroeder documented the scene with digital photographs and measurements. They collected the sheet, black trash bags, a rake head that was found stuck in the ground at the north edge of the disturbed dirt, and a wooden handle apparently belonging to the rake head, which was found in the brush to the east area of disturbed dirt. Apple, Yoakum, and I climbed the stairs to the top of the oil tanks. Due to the dangerous conditions associated with opening the tanks, Apple was required to complete additional paperwork and accompany us with a gas monitoring device. I was only allowed to use an intrinsically safe flashlight to peer into the oil holding tanks to attempt to observe anything inside of them. I was unable to observe any object in the tanks and noted that my vision inside the tanks was obstructed by visible gas fumes. I noted that the only openings of the top of the tanks, and therefore the only access available to Chris to place the bodies of Bella and Celeste in the tanks, were very small. We took photographs of the openings with a tape measure across them with my cellular phone. The openings measured 8 inches across. I provided this information to investigators at the Frederick Police Department. Yoakum located numerous strands of hair that appeared to be blonde in colour stuck to the rim of the opening of the east holding tank. The hair was photographed using Yoakum's cellular phone. He was unable to utilise SLR camera and flash due to the danger of the flash igniting fumes, and collected the hair as evidence. Arrangements were made to have the oil holding tanks drained in the morning, and arrangements were made to have overnight scene security by Frederick PD officers. Upon arrival of Weld County Coroner's Office investigator Joey Weiner, we began to excavate the area of disturbed dirt. Special agents Philip Jones and Mark Clearer of the FBI and Detective Dave Baumhover and Officer Scott Coonrod of the Frederick Police Department also arrived on scene to assist. Photographs were taken to document the process. The portion of Shanann's body closest to the surface was located approximately 3 inches below the surface. The body was lying face down in a kneeling type position with her head facing in a westerly direction in a declining position deeper into the ground from her lower torso. Shanann's arms were outstretched in front of her and her feet were pulled up underneath and behind her. Shanann was exhumed from the ground and placed in a body bag. Investigator Weiner took possession of Shanann's body.
Chris, go and stand up for me.
In my opinion, Agent Tammy Lee and Special Agent Graham Corder played a blinder, but Chris was an easy target. He was so compliant, he was obedient, and whether he thought he could beat that polygraph, who knows? He went along with it and they got an easy confession, or at least they got a confession of sorts. But it wasn't until February of 2019 when they revisited him in Dodge Correctional, Wisconsin, that they got a more complete confession. Here we see Chris being arrested and he's sent to Weld County Jail. And that's all I've got for you today. If you'd like me to do further videos, perhaps looking at the psychological techniques used by Corder and Lee, that might be interesting. And if you're interested in listening to the entire interview of Nicole Kessinger, although the audio's bad because it took place in a park, then part 4 of the Summer of Lies series has that complete interview. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you're well. I've been Michelle. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next video.